I'm on Twitter right now. I'm retweeting a whole bunch of crazy stuff on Luke We Are Change about the insidious love of power happening right now with the establishment crawling all over Joe Biden. We have CNN literally just moments ago saying that the side lights on the National Mall's reflecting pole are like the extension of Joe Biden's arms embracing America. CNN News right now saying that, specifically David Callen of CNN. And then, of course, we have Lauren Wolfe, who's at the New York Times. The New York Times made a statement saying that they're going to be critiquing this presidency just like they did the other one. That's their public kind of word. And then Lauren Wolfe says, Biden landing at Joint Base Andrews now. I have chills.
She's got chills.
With a photo of course, the airplane coming in.
This is just a creepy level of...
Yeah, this is...
So here's what people
weird.
need to understand. The government is power. It's all confidence. If you have half the country not believing in the power or the legitimacy of the government, then they won't have that power to exert. And that's probably why they're doing the screenings on these soldiers. Because these soldiers are... Look, we heard from the Oath Keepers, from Stuart Rhodes. He said that half the country will not view anything out of Biden's mouth as legitimate. And what happens when soldiers are feeling that way?
Well, this is why they're flexing. This is why I think they have over 25,000 National Guardsmen showing them, look at us. We're the authority. We are strong. We are powerful. I think this is why the mainstream media is in overdrive right now, 24/7 nonstop, saying Biden's the best. He's beautiful. He's glorious. He's going to save us. He's going to do everything for us. As, of course, we all know, he's barely there. He represents the special interest lobbyist more than even Barack Obama wanted to be represented in the U.S. government. This is going to be not just back to the new normal. This is a back towards pushing towards a state that is truly at a very dangerous point moving forward from here.
Listen. What's the old stereotype of the bar fight? You got some loud, boisterous, arrogant dude pushing people around saying, yeah, I can do whatever I want. And there's some quiet guy minding his own business, just sipping his drink. And then the guy comes up and is like, come on, buddy, what are you looking at? And he's like, dude, just leave me alone. I don't want to get into it. And it's a stereotype of the quiet guy being the actual tough guy. He doesn't want to fight. He wants to be left alone. Let me have my drink. You do not want to fight. You will regret it. And the guy talking all the smack is the one who gets smacked down.
Yep.
So if they're coming out flexing as hard as possible, it seems like a facade.
Yep.
Like they're actually, the actions they're taking scare me because they have no confidence. The fact that they would vet our soldiers, the fact that Chris Cuomo on CNN would say we can't trust our military, I'm like, geez, dude, they're scared. Issuing that letter. You see that letter that got released? It was who was Joint Chiefs issued a letter saying Biden won, Trump is not the president, do not support him or else. Then we got all of the living former secretaries of defense published an op-ed in the Washington Post saying anyone who supports Trump to keep him in the presidency will be prosecuted. The fact that they have to put out these messages, send out 25,000 troops, vet them, they are terrified that they have lost control and they have lost confidence of enough of this country that it's going to create real instability, and they don't have the power anymore.
Yep. They have everything to prove and nothing backing it. And this is why it's such a scary time, because they could be going for broke and doing unspeakable things. And just like we mentioned before starting the show, and this is kind of the theme that we've been talking about in general, usually the people who call for combated violence are usually the ones who have never experienced it. You experienced it. You know what it's like. Is there anything you want to say to some of these kind of radicalized voices about, you know, what you see in a war zone and the bigger kind of potential dangers here?
Yeah, well, so you have the Xbox player who gets this false sense of reality, like they understand combat and they understand tactics and they know all that with a controller, and I think it gives sort of this false bravado and maybe a false sense of they actually think they know what they're doing. But I mean, I doubt they've seen charred bodies and people blown in half from an RPG and someone they know with a bullet in their head. Those things change you. Those things never leave you. And while in a war situation it's something you have to do, it should not be anything you're looking to do, because you have no idea. You can turn that television off and you can put that Xbox controller down, but you witness and or take part in that violence, you won't sleep right.
Movies, online videos, they do not convey the true experience of seeing mangled bodies. And one of the most, I think a lot of people will not understand it unless they ever experience it. They think they might. They think I've seen videos online. I've seen videos online. And I've also seen a guy laying on the ground with his lower legs were roast beef as he was looking at his mangled meat and his hands were just not functioning and he's trying to move it. The feeling you get when you see that level of destruction of a human body is something you will not experience in a movie, in a video game.
Well, it is now clinically proven that someone with PTSD, that your brain is actually rewired.
Yeah.
It happened. It's physically happens to your brain.
I can't even. It's crazy. I want desperately to convey the emotion I felt when I saw a dude whose legs were gone, and he was looking at them trying to get up, and I'm like, dude, you can't get up. Yeah. But people who like these lefties who go and play LARP, and these Antifa people throwing fireworks and stuff, man, they don't get it. There was a video out of Portland, and it was funny and it was sad, but it also made me angry, where a dude got an abrasion from like a one of those expanding foam rounds, and so they put a tourniquet on his leg.
Oh, I remember that.
They put a tourniquet on his leg because he had an abrasion with some bleeding, and he was like, I don't want to lose my leg, and they're like, we got to stop the bleeding, man. I'm like, these people, if it ever truly came to the conflict they've been calling for, will cry so hard begging for their Xbox days back, just to go back and have that Papa John's stuffed crust with the garlic dipping sauce just one more time. Yeah. They also don't understand what it's like to not have resources and to eat garbage and just, man, they've not seen real struggle. Yeah. They've not left this country, many of them.
No, that's again, I always go back to that perspective, that pinpointed perspective. When you have nothing else to rely on outside of what you've seen in a movie on television, or you can understand to a point. I mean, I oddly enough feel some empathy just because I understand the cluelessness that comes from a lack of perspective.
And we also forget how privileged we are, how amazingly lucky we are to live in a Western world, to have the internet, to have everything at our fingertips. Even though we're going through a very tough economic turmoil, we still have it way better than the majority of the world. And traveling the world and covering some conflict, there were some events and things that I've personally seen in my life that I just blacked out. I know I've been there, but I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to think about it. And this is why I've been always pushing, hey, let's try to resolve this. Calm down, take a step back. And it's very funny because, the voices, your voice, my voice, a lot of other independent media voices that are trying to bring reason to this insanity, that are trying to calm things down. Those are usually the first ones that get the nail, that get the hammer hit on them directly by big tech censorship that is trying to silence individuals from even expressing these resolution voices.
You know why? Well, the people who are invested in the conflict can't have people begging, everyone to stop fighting.
I don't agree with that. I think the people calming them down are fine.
No. What I'm saying is there are people on the left who want to fight. And in order to justify their fight, they need the people to fight them. So if we come out and we say, stop doing this, like Brett Weinstein's Unity Party, they nuke it.
Right. If you challenge them and tell them to stop, they're going to come after you. But if you're truly trying to calm people down, you're not telling anyone to stop. You're creating something new.
What do you mean?
You're making a better place for everyone to go.
Telling people to stop focusing on the conflict and the chaos
is different than telling them to start focusing on growth.
And that's what we do.
Well, telling someone to stop is different than telling someone to do something else.
Brett Weinstein didn't tell people to stop. He said, let's bring people together and find where we agree and do good things.
I don't know. I can't speak for
Brett. They banned him. When you look, there's a tactic among left-wing activists. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to drag the left again. It's because the right is not organized in this capacity when it comes to protests. They're not organized. That's why all these people who stormed the Capitol weren't wearing masks because they had no idea what they were doing. And that's why they're going to go to prison. It's why when the Proud Boys got into a fight with Antifa in New York City, Antifa told the cops F you and ran away, even though they were supposedly the victims. And the Proud Boys said, we'll tell you everything, officer. And guess who went to prison? The Proud Boys. The cops said, we would have arrested Antifa. We don't know who they are, where they went. Because they have strategy, they have organization, and they know how these tactics work. One of their tactics is to purposefully get someone falsely arrested. They want a regular person walking down the street to be thrown to the ground and beaten by a cop. So what they'll do is they go to protests of normie, college student kids. They'll crouch down and they'll chuck a rock at a cop. Then the cop will grab some 22-year-old woman, throw her to the ground, and she'll be freaking out. Why is this happening? I didn't do anything wrong. Then once she gets out, because they bail her out, they supported her, they'll say, don't you see how evil these cops are? You should join our group. Shave the side of your head. Put on this black hoodie. We're the ones who saved you. It is a common tactic they use. Get people to be the victims. They want right-wing individuals like the Proud Boys to show up and fight them. That's why I say it's a stupid thing to do and they shouldn't do it. They want it so they can film it, take it out of context, and then show regular people, see, they're the bad guys. Join us. We'll keep you safe. When the Proud Boys announce they're going to go march around with their American flags and their Gadsden flags, what do we hear from the left? White supremacists are coming to target minorities in racist attacks. An extreme version of having nothing to do with reality. That's the propaganda technique. So they need the conflict. So if we're going to come out and say, y'all, you don't want to fight, it's bad. You don't understand how bad it's going to get. They're like, no, stop them. They're actually trying to get people to calm down. That's bad for us.
Well, it's how... Listen to my point. Telling someone to stop fighting is different than doing something different that they can focus on instead of fighting. And if you're telling them to stop, you will draw the aggro of the elite, of the people with money. They don't want to hear you telling people to stop. They want to see you do something new, like write a song or build a new technology that people can use.
I think ultimately anything that threatens their the radicalization engine or their tribe or their moral authority and justification.
Anything that threatens the flow is at risk.
The agenda, the narrative, they'll find a way to hit it. I mean, if you look at the YouTube purge, a lot of it first was independent media. Independent media was screaming about child abusers, radical Islamists, other kind of crazy people and individuals exploiting, whether it was puppies or little children on the platform. They were still allowed to have a voice. The first crackdown came on independent media. Came on regular mom and pop small shops of individuals saying, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to share the news from a perspective that's not from a corporate special interest. And
the first censorship was on dudes that were screaming at George Bush, saying that he was a child effer and a goat effer. It was that guy, Philip Warren. He was the first internet censored guy. And he was probably censored in the right because he was aggro as F. Independent media is a very vague term. You can be aggro independent media. You can be creative independent media. I think aggro stuff tends to get banned though.
It really is a bias against the right, and I think it's hilarious that it's obvious if you take an objective view on what's going on. Look at Parler, just totally wiped out, just gone. It's obvious. You look at the channels that are allowed to be on YouTube, they get promoted. Establishment channels, of course, are protected. But then you look at left-wing channels where they're talking about Russia and supporting these unhinged theories, and there's been no reconciliation. There's been no justice. There's been no fairness in any of the policies put forth by these platforms. It's like I was saying yesterday. Jack Dorsey is in a far-left bubble he can't see out of. To him, all of these things are normal. So when he sees a regular working class, 45-year-old guy tweet something about learning to code, he goes, an extremist, delete. Not realizing most Americans have no idea what you're talking about, but they're getting nuked. These platforms are controlled by, one of a large portion, for the most part, of these ideological tribes. YouTube seems to be, this is surprising, it's bad. There's a lot of problems with YouTube and censorship. Way better than Twitch, for instance. Twitch will ban you in 2 seconds for giving a conservative opinion because their user base is too left. And then you have Twitter, which is very left. Facebook, which this is interesting. I used to upload my videos to Facebook, and I stopped last week when they restricted my page for covering what happened at the Capitol. That's it. And people were like, I had people even commenting saying, all I did was say, here's what's happening. Here's a tweet. Here's what's happening. Here's the response. Gone.
Yep. I have a Telegram page with 5,000 subscribers, and then I have a Facebook page with 600,000 subscribers. That was like that for a number of years now. I get more web traffic and reach through the 5,000 group on Telegram than the 600,000 group on Facebook.
That's why we're telling everybody to go to timcast.com and become a member, because I fully expect, look, my Facebook page, it's over. Now, I can still post to it, but there's no point. The posts are all restricted. They've stripped me from monetization, which I wasn't really getting in the first place. So I didn't care all that much when it happened. But it shows you the cliffs are once again eroding. It's only a matter of time before they come and say, "Oh, you're telling people to calm down." Look, we'll get to a point where they'll say their fight is righteous, and defending these people means you're either with us or against us. And so by defending people, by saying don't fight, you're defending them. Therefore, you're banned. We'll get to that point. It'll happen. And I don't know when, but I imagine it'll happen soon. The first thing they're trying to do is get rid of as many voices as possible, because they only want approved channels. YouTube's wanted to be Netflix for a long time. They don't like the idea that anybody can start a channel and just share things. They don't like the you in YouTube, but they want to maintain the user base, which they have. So that's where we're headed. So yes, go to timcast.com, become a member if you want to help protect us in the event that they nuke the platform. It's possible. And we're trying really hard to get like a core dedicated user base to subscribe, and then we'll put up more and more member only content and stuff like that. But I really do hope things get chilled out. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.